You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics, where we go beneath the surface of music and technology. And I'm Dimitri Vitsa, I'm the host, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Rock, Paper, Scissors, a music and technology PR firm. I'm here at NAMM, the National Association of Music Merchandisers in Anaheim, California, which is insane. 120,000 people on a trade floor, drums, guitars, synths, drum machines, all sorts of cool software, and fog machines, lots of fog machines. And today I've got with me David Przygoda. It's really David Przygoda, but you go by Priz, right?
That's it.
With Antares Technology, and it's so cool to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, really excited to be here.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I know about Antares is you guys are the ones behind Autotune. And everyone's heard of Autotune, but I bet a lot of people are not aware of the company behind us. So why don't you tell us about Antares Tech?
Sure. Let me give you the kind of the history here. So I mean, we've actually been around quite a while. So we're going over 20 years now. So the technology was originated early 90s. The inventor, Dr. Andy Hildebrand, actually worked in the geospatial gas and mineral sector. Whoa. And he was a very brilliant scientist guy who was using sound waves to send into the earth and identify what's under there, whether it's rock or gas or oil or whatever's going on. And it was actually an accident how Autotune came to be. One of his wife's friends said, "I'm having this horrible problem. I can't sing on pitch to save my life. What's going on?" And he just thought about that statement for a second. He said, "I can solve that." And very quickly, using existing technology that he had, he developed Autotune, and it was born. And it was used for his friends and family at first, and then really became popular when Cher came out with Believe in the 90s. Was the first kind of commercial pop hit that used Autotune not as a pitch correction, as a transparent pitch correction, but as a vocal effect to actually build a song around and really, be the basis of the vocal sounds. And it's been, the rest is history. 20 years later, it's, it's hard to hear a track that doesn't have Autotune, either in the transparent side of things or with the Autotune effect built in.
So we know about Autotune, and now you've told us about this incredible history. I had no idea, and that is a crazy story and also a very interesting, cool one. But is there more that you guys do besides Autotune?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we do. So we are a software company, and so we build tools. We're very focused on content creators and specifically vocals as part of the content creation process, right? So that spans across music, and that's what we're really famous for. Autotune pays the bills, certainly, but our technology is integrated into everything from consumer-facing apps. There are applications for podcasting and gaming and all sorts of things that really our focus is helping content creators and artists realize their artistic vision with their vocal, whatever that is. Obviously people know us for this Autotune effect. By all means, we do a lot more than that, and our software is used throughout the industry, on the high 90% of songs that you hear on the radio and indie hits and everything else. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. So outside of Autotune specifically, we do things like mic modeling. So if you think about a content creator who's using a less than professional microphone or recording on a mobile device, we can model famous expensive microphones and make you sound a lot better. We have noise reduction technology and all sorts of different software that enhances the content creation experience around vocals.
Wow, that's crazy. I would have thought with the origins in helping somebody sing on key, it's interesting that there's so many other things that it now applies to as well. It's interesting to hear how far things have gone as well there. And what's your role at the company?
So I'm the chief marketing officer. I'm actually the first marketing head of the company. What's pretty interesting is Autotune became what it is without almost any marketing. After Cher's Believe and certainly with the rise of urban genres and electronic genres, music just became more and more popular and kind of had this flywheel effect for the brand and the company. And so I joined this past summer as the first marketing lead, build out a team and help us better connect with our customers. We've been very focused on the professional market. Every major studio in the world has our technology. It's available as a plugin on DAWs. So, music makers and that are doing it at home and students use our technology, but we really haven't done a good job of reaching out to a broader audience that's not professional. Part of that's a price point thing. We're a premium software tool, so our software can be fairly expensive. And so I've been brought on to help build out a brand and a strategy to help reach more customers and leverage all these wonderful technologies and work across technology partners, platform partners, applications, gaming, these other verticals that our off-the-shelf technology is a great fit for.
So the model, is it a lifetime purchase? Is it an annual purchase? Is it a monthly subscription? How does it work?
Yeah, so currently we sell perpetual licenses. So we have a whole suite of plugins. Autotune specifically ranges between $100 and $400 for a license, perpetual license. But there's definitely a trend in the industry, gravitating towards subscriptions and other business models that make it more affordable and lower the access point for customers. So we're looking, very closely at these things through our strategic partnerships and certainly within our own product launches that are, slated for 2020.
So here we are at NAMM. There's tons of gear, tons of hardware. There's obviously software companies. There's DAWs here. What do you get out of being at NAMM? Or what do you? Maybe I should say, what have you? Since it's a new role, what are you hoping to get out of NAMM?
Yeah, so I've been, this is my fifth NAMM here, so I'm certainly not new to the show, but we are lucky enough to have a broad range of partners that includes press, that includes resellers and retail channels, and then also the industry folks. So whether that's these VIP, top tier artists, producers, sound engineers, NAMM's a great place. Obviously LA being a localized point, place in the country for media and entertainment. It's a great opportunity for us to come in, meet with all of these folks under one roof, show off our latest and greatest. We've slowly but surely, I think, built up our presence here at NAMM over the years. I think it's going to continue to grow, and it's just a great opportunity to have the conversations, get a pulse on what's happening in the industry, figure out, obviously learn from the competition, from our partners, and then figure out how we incorporate that into our strategy and do a better job moving forward. So it's really just a one-stop shop for team. We have several different teams that attend. And we're packed with back-to-back meetings, and it's been very fruitful for us so far.
All right, I'm going to take this to another place. So I kind of have this sense that Autotune has gotten kind of a bad rap in the music industry. Hate to bring you on a podcast and say that.
No, come on, bring it, yeah.
But it's also super popular. And it's helped launch entire genres. You talked a little bit about that. Talk to me about this love-hate relationship the world has with Autotune.
Yeah, so I think certainly initially, when we think about the late 90s and early 2000s, there became a pop sound that was heavily focused on Autotune, and I think that's prevailed even through today. When people think of Autotune, they think about the fast retune speed, the Autotune effect as being at the forefront of a song. And I think some music purists, certainly initially, and I will say that it tends to be the older generation of music makers who feel the most strongly about this, felt that it was cheating somehow. I don't recall, I think the Guitar Tuner came out way before, I started playing guitar, but I don't know if the Guitar Tuner got the same, reception from those purists. But I think part of that stems from some similarities in the vocal style and this Autotune effect that's so popular that artists love. And really, again, we don't want people to just sound a certain way. We want to enable creators to sound like whoever they want. I think what people underappreciate is that our technology is used on the songs where they don't hear us. And that transparent pitch correction is just important to the best singers in the world. I don't want to throw any artists under the bus that may or may not want to be associated with us, but it's really critical, and not just for the recorded music, but also for the live side of things, right? So if you're Post Malone or whoever you are, we have a great relationship with his team and a lot of other artists we can talk about, but when you record a record that becomes popular, there's an expectation by the fans to have the same sonic identity when they perform live. And so we found, in addition to the studio and that recorded side of music, that where a critical part of the path. There's very few artists now that will put out any music that goes from jazz to folk to hip hop, EDM, whatever, that don't use pitch correction to tighten up the vocals, because it just sonically sounds better if it's and it tightens up a mix. People use Autotune on instruments, which people don't know. So fretless basses, all kinds of instruments, tightens up a mix. It just makes a mix sound so much better. And so, there's been that negative perception, but I think it's become such a critical part of the workflow for creating and producing music that we're well over that hump. And if you talk to any professional in the industry, they appreciate now the value that Autotune adds, both on making a record sonically sound better, but also improving the speed and the workflow for producing content. And then the live application, certainly, where you can match a sonic identity that you're already hearing on a record. So, I think that there's probably a few haters still out there, but by and large, the pros know and rely on Autotune. And, we're seeing that with the next generation of music makers as well.
So you mentioned the live music. Is there a latency issue with recreating a sound that's in a recording?
Yeah, so really our claim to fame and what enabled Autotune to grow in popularity is that our plugins are very lightweight, real-time plugins. So we've actually gotten the technology so good that you can actually track now. So an artist can be in a vocal booth, similar to the studio we're in right now, and record listening to themselves Autotune, which with CPUs, obviously when they weren't as powerful, that was a challenge. But our software now, and one of our claims to fame is being this real-time, imperceptible latency that allows both the live and the studio experience to that's not a factor anymore.
Gotcha. And the other thing that's interesting is, so there's this idea of pitch correction, but there's also just kind of the timbre of the effect. And I don't really know enough about Autotune to know, does it always have that kind of Android robotic sort of, human meets circuitry type sound to it?
Yeah, so that's specifically one setting. It's called the retune speed. The faster you make the retune speed, the more, I'll say, artificial that Autotune effect that you hear. So if you turn that retune speed down, we also have other settings that, for example, roll off the effect. So if you hold a note, sustain, or you want to add inflections in your vocal take, it's imperceptible if you want it to be. So that it's really exciting, and the team's done a pretty amazing job with the feature set that gives the folks who want that Autotune sound access to that. But you've heard so many songs by popular artists and folks you would never associate with Autotune that are using our tools to make their vocal takes sound better, and it's imperceptible.
So it's just a much more subtle use of it.
It's a much more subtle use, and again, it's all about personal taste. But we have some other great technology that's pretty popular in the industry. For example, we have technologies that create harmonizers automatically. Harmony Engine is an example. For example, we have other plugins that create doubles and can mix vocals. Basically, instead of recording several takes of a track, you can embed vocal effects and modulate vocals all in a single plugin. So the Autotune is one part of what we do, but our tools are just so popular now in the industry, and we get a lot of feedback, and I think it's really a testament to the relationship we have with the industry, because a lot of the ideas for improving our technology come from the artist community, the top-tier producers, engineers, and artists themselves. They have requests for what they're looking for, and we try and help them realize their vision for their art.
When you get that kind of feedback, and then you guys tweak some settings to help somebody reach the sound they're looking for, have you seen that impacts a whole scene, like a whole genre? I mean, I think about, obviously, hip-hop and R&B and pop and electronic music all have vocals that you can hear that more robotic effect that you talk about. But I think about Afrobeats, the style of Afrobeats. There's not a song without it. And I'm curious, have you seen some of the evolutions from feedback to artists yet turn into something more than just one song?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the feedback is not predicated on a style of music, more about a specific functional use case. We see artists across different functions. For example, we have sound designers, we have composers, we have music for film. All of these artists come to us with different use cases and use our tools in different ways. I think a big trend that we're seeing with software in general, the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, it just in general is ease of use. So there's less traditionally trained musicians, and more people who want to make music and have a motion and a vibe they want to achieve for their art. And I think what we're looking for is how do we improve the workflow and just get out of the way and let creators create whatever they want to do. It's not about us, it's about the artist.
So you mentioned, obviously we talked about Autotune and pitch correction, and you mentioned the harmony piece as well. Are there other applications that you haven't told us about? I think you said something about gaming and podcasting and social media. Is there something there?
Yeah, so I think just some general trends in content creation, especially that involve audio. I would say that our technology falls into two main categories of use cases for content creators. The first would be personalization, customizing an audio experience, making it sound better, tailoring it to what you want to achieve, right? That's the Autotune, things like that. There's also this audio intelligibility component, right? So when you think about gaming and podcasting and even music as well, so much of music these days is being recorded on a mobile phone or on the go in a hotel room or in a dorm room or a noisy environment with low-end equipment or applications. And our technology fits in very well with all of those workflows for content creators. So, podcasting, again, people are doing podcasts from a table or, a closet in a room in their house, and a fire engine could go by, or someone's talking, mom's yelling at them, there's a vacuum going, whatever it is. So we have SoundSoap is one of our technologies, which is a professional software that basically cleans up audio. So if you have low quality video with a low quality audio signal, it can really clean that up. So we're looking at audio intelligibility. We're looking at personalized audio, in terms of sounds and vibes for vocals, and certainly it revolves around content creators and communication across all sorts of genres.
We might need some of that soap for our podcast sometime. We definitely have had fire engines in the back room, in the background, and once had somebody doing a podcast for us at a kind of like in a podcast booth where we are now, which is why we're using our equipment rather than theirs, because it ended up with a click track on the entire thing, and our man Jade tried to wipe it, but maybe we need some soap to soap it off.
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff, and I mean, and that everything from de-essers to distortion. We have a suite of technology, and I think folks will start to hear more about those other technologies, not just Autotune in the future. But you think about how many consumer apps, whether they're singing or content creation, the popularity of these apps with millions or billions of users, they all need underlying technology that improves the quality of that vocal experience. And, I think people realize that as much as we all want to sound like a pro, we don't. We sing off pitch, or there's lots of critiques we give to ourselves, and we're more critical of ourselves. So I think if we effortlessly give these content creators access to a better sounding them, they're very happy, and that's really the feedback we've gotten from the community.
It's interesting in a way. You can sort of think of it as the way smartphones and Instagram have these visual filters. You guys are basically creating a more accessible audio filters to help people change the sound, but maybe give it a different quote look or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So you've been to NAMM several times. Here we are. You're here for Ontaris now because of your role, but you've been here a bunch. What are some of your favorite things to do when you're at NAMM? Not just for work, but what do you actually enjoy? What do you like checking out? What companies do you always drop by?
Yeah, well, I'm a guitarist. Again, not classically trained, but I've been playing guitar for a long time, and I'm a home musician and engineer producer just on my own little, for fun. So I love getting a sense of what the trends are, the latest technology. I'm completely fascinated by this kind of democratization of content creation and this trend that's happening right now. And I'm impressed with a lot of different companies, how easy they're making it for content creators both to create their art and then, publish that art and get it heard by whoever they'd like, whether that's friends and family, whether that's, across a major, music service. But, for me, even being a guitarist, and I love hardware, the software side of things for me is just fascinating. There's a lot of small companies that are doing amazing things, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of that tech starts to make its way into larger platforms. And so for me, it's all about software here at NAMM in terms of where the interest is. But certainly, if you're into music instruments and gear, whether you're a DJ or a guitarist or a horn player, this is the place to come. But software is where it's at from my point of view.
It's interesting because when you walk in and you look, what you see is a lot of hardware. And I came to NAMM for the first time last year in 2019, and I was interested in where's the innovation. And the first day, I'm roaming around getting my head crashed by cymbals and drums, and you see some scratching and a lot of the public stuff that's out on the boulevard outside is like straight up rock. There's just tons of rock and roll. And it made me wonder, oh, shoot, did I come to the wrong conference? But then over time, you find the nooks and crannies, and you find there's some more new technologies, innovators, new types of controllers that have much smaller booths. Yeah. And then, obviously, the software is around, too. Although I noticed some of the software companies don't have booths this year, either. And so you kind of have to stumble into them on the floor.
Yeah, it's a tough business to be in. There's a lot of smaller companies, and it's not cheap to exhibit at these shows. There's folks that are making it, any way they can. I think there's some great partnerships where folks will piggyback on other strategic partners, booths, and things like that. But certainly, I think one of the biggest opportunities, if I was going to start a business focused around NAMM, I would be selling earplugs outside the doors. I think that that's a unicorn business plan right there.
Yeah, you need that kind of thing here too. And the cool thing is there's so many people from all over the country, all over the world, that you literally bump into people who you want to be meeting anyway. You go outside to get lunch. There's like a huge line at the food trucks, although I am impressed with how fast they've got those food truck lines down. And the next thing you know, you see someone a partner, a client, or possibly someone you were hoping to meet anyway. So you literally bump into your opportunities at NAMM. Are there any like tips if somebody's going to come to NAMM next year for the first time of not the where you bring your chapstick and wear comfortable shoes, not the regular conference stuff, but stuff specific to the culture of NAMM? Do you check out panels and sessions? Do you go to parties or showcases? Do you just walk the floor? Are there good restaurants nearby that you like? Are there any companies that you could only see here? They don't come to South by Southwest or CES or anything else?
Yeah, I think my advice to attendees versus exhibitors would be pretty different. But one tip Pamela on our team recommended, which seems to make perfect sense, and I think I'll take her up, going forward, is, piggyback a Disneyland trip. If you're coming to NAMM, you're already down here. You might as well, go see the Magic Kingdom and get some rides in. But
she's not the only one either. We work with CD Baby, and the VP of Marketing, Kevin Bruner, told me he frequently meets a family member and goes off to Disneyland. I haven't done it myself yet, but there's a lot going on right here.
Well, and that's the other point. I think you just touched on it. Is there's so much going on. It's a very noisy show, both from a decibel level, but also from a content perspective and things to see perspective. I think like anything else, it's good to plan ahead. So, for example, there's an app. You can get a list of the events, the talks that are happening each day. You can get maps on where stuff is. If you wander around aimlessly, you'll basically just get a headache and probably not see all the things you want to see. So I think having a focused approach and, what are the most important things you want to see, who are the most important people you want to see, and where those locations are. Honestly, half the action in NAMM is happening outside of the convention center, whether it's at the hotels surrounding the area, special events at bars and clubs and things like that. A lot of the business here at NAMM happens outside of the show. So I think it's just important to have a game plan, talk with your team, or if you're an attendee, you just want to have a plan. It's like, what's the most important? What are the things I have to see? And just, figure it out in advance. Otherwise, you'll be a trumpet player stuck in the flute section and it won't be relevant to you.
And that does happen. It's almost like almost like a mirror house or something, where you're like, how do I get out of it? It's huge. The Anaheim Convention Center is so huge, and sometimes you just literally feel lost. You can't find a bathroom, you can't find the exit, you get outside and you have no idea where you are. That's awesome. Well, Pris, this has been fun having you on. Is there anything you want to plug, or ways folks can reach out to you, social media platform of choice, or anything else you want to throw into the mix before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'll just say Autotune.com. You can learn all about our company. We have some exciting things planned this year. We're not announcing anything here at NAMM, but we hope folks will check us out, and if they want to learn more, they can go to our website. Follow us on social media, and we'll do our best to give them the education they need on how to use our vocal tools to sound as professional as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Pris.
Thanks for having us, Dimitri.
And thank you for listening to Music Tectonics. Please hit subscribe on your podcasting app, because you probably want to check out our other interviews we've done at NAMM with Avid, with Moog, with Reason. Lots of great other ones coming up. So thanks so much for listening. We'll be back with more soon.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.